As promised, I have put our 3 function generators on my big scope, and I thought we would compare them, just do a quick comparison. I'm not going to do anything super in-depth. So this is the $3, it's the yellow. This is the $2, it's the blue, so that's the yellow, blue, and then the red is our $1 function generator. And what we'll do is I'm just going to compare like the stability of the wave, and we've already done the detail on the how much range they have, power requirements, all that stuff. So let's just do a quick compare and see if one of them is clearly superior to the others. I have them all set to 1.3 kilohertz. You can see that one on this one right here. That's because the cheapest one has a single frequency, which is 1.3 kilohertz. So we'll start that comparison off. Also, the middle one only does a square wave, so that's all we can compare with that. Okay, so let's eliminate these other 2 channels and just take a look at this. Make sure our trigger is on channel 1. And that we're triggering properly. Yes, there we go, triggering within the range. So as we can see, it's 1.32 kilohertz. What are some other interesting things? The peak to peak is about 1.5. And yeah, so let's take a look at the next one. We'll have to select it, do that, get rid of that one. Trigger menu, we definitely want to make sure we're triggering on the same one, and then hit the measurements. So we're again at 1.3 kilohertz. Peak to peak is only 1 volt roughly. Pretty stable, and you can see the wave is not too fuzzy. We're not getting a lot of junk in it. Okay, let's go to the third one. Activate that. Trigger. Okay, so that's pretty stable. Hit the measurement button. Again, 1.3 kilohertz. And what's our peak to peak? It's about 100 millivolts. So yeah, quite 10 times less than the last one. So, ouch. Okay. So that is a comparison on just like the stability of the square wave. Let's switch to the sine wave. Now this one won't do the anything but square wave, so that kind of drops out of the comparison, but we'll do this one and that one. Okay, let's compare sine waves. We'll start out with this one. Turn that one off. Make sure we're triggering on the correct channel. There we go. And we shall hit measurements, and we're still at 1.3 kilohertz. Peak to peak is about call it 1.1, 1.2 something. What else is interesting? Yeah, this is not a great sine wave. It's more of a triangular wave, but okay. So let's look at the other. There we go. Change our trigger. I'm still learning this thing, so I'm not real smooth with it yet. There we go, measurements, 1.3, so apples to apples as far as frequency goes. Peak to peak is, yeah, like 25 millivolts, so a whole lot less output. Okay, so then let's say that we pick this one and this one. I think this one is limited to 150 kilohertz, and this one quite a bit more. So let's take these both to 150 kilohertz and compare the maximum on the $2 versus the, well, basically a mid-range on the $3. I have changed the jumpers and set the settings such that it should be on par with this. 150 kilohertz here, 150 kilohertz here. Let's look at this one first. And 152 kilohertz, okay, that's not too bad. And what do we got? Let's see, peak to peak about 1.46 volts, and then you can see the rest of that there. If it's of interest, yeah, pretty stable wave, not too noisy. Let's see, nope, I go, whoops, there we go. Turn that one off. Go to our trigger. Make sure we're on the right trigger. Yes, trigger. And then we want a punch measurement. And it doesn't want to lock in, but it should theoretically be about 150 kilohertz, and peak to peak about 1.4. So yeah, this one is not terribly stable at the high end, at the 150 kilohertz range. Okay, well, that's just kind of a quick overview of what these will do. We've kind of poked at them and seen the ups and downs of each one of them. Overall, I think, you know, if you just want one of these, I think this is probably the best choice. It's the $3 one. Yeah, it's 3 times more than the $1 one, but overall it's stable. It's well, not only stable, but it's also settable. It's got reasonable waveforms. Yeah, the sine wave isn't wonderful, but square wave is good. And yeah, just overall, I think if you just want one of them, I'd get this. Okay, well, that was it. Just a quick review of these three different function generators: the $3, the $2, and the $1, just to give a quick compare. And that's about it. Hope you found that useful and interesting in your home DIY electronics.